Hey there, this is Dara Connolly, as in I dare you to speak up with confidence and be more impactful and influential when speaking in front of an audience. In today's tip, I'm going to teach you 5 tools on how to speak up to be heard. Let's do it. All right, let's jump right in because as a former soft speaker and shy person, I would often get talked over and interrupted all the time when I would be speaking, whether it was just socially in a small group of friends or at corporate meetings. And it's frustrating. I know that it's not fun to feel like you're not heard at all. So, I have 5 tips for you in order to get your voice heard so your opinions and your stories and whatever you're sharing really resonates and lands with whomever is around you. And by the end of these tips, make sure you take a peek at DaraConnollyCLUB because it's going to give you a lot more tips. These are just 5. I have a lot more I could share with you. Okay, let's begin with number 1. When you're around a group of people and you feel like you're not being heard, I want you to take time to say your opening sentence a little bit louder with enthusiasm. You see, sometimes we get talked over simply because other people didn't hear us. They didn't even know we were talking. And it could be rude, and whether they are aware of it or not, sometimes it happens by accident because we weren't heard, we weren't noticed. But I want you to take time and amplify your voice, especially if you're someone who's a little bit more of a soft speaker. Doesn't mean you shout, just amp up the volume a little bit. But it's more than just who the loudest person in the room is the person who's heard. Our brains are wired to hear things that are exciting or and interesting or enthusiastic. So add a little bit more excitement and connotation of bringing the interest into what you're saying. So this way you can pull people in as if, ooh, she's got something to say. I can't wait to hear it. And one of the easiest ways to help bring enthusiasm and excitement into your voice is to smile. I noticed that this was a big difference maker. If I said something with a smile and I'm excited and I'm making eye contact, people are more likely to listen than if I say it with a straight face, or certainly if I'm looking down or away. So, see if you can just incorporate this. This is an easy tip. All of you can do this. Take time to begin a little bit louder and then add the enthusiasm and excitement into whatever you're saying. Now, let's go right into tip 2, which is something that maybe a little bit requires a little bit of practicing. And this is I want you to speak with a lower pitch from your diaphragm. A lot of times we speak up here, we breathe up here, and our voice changes if it's coming from our throat. But I want you to speak a little bit lower tone using your belly and your diaphragm. Imagine, for example, you have a neighbor who comes over and is very angry and he's yelling at you because he thinks that the garbage in his front lawn came from your kids. But it wasn't. How would you respond to that? Most likely you're going to speak in a very firm, confident way, saying, no, no, my kids didn't do that. My kids are playing in the backyard. What happens sometimes when we get nervous or we're trying to fill the silence is we tend to speak a little too high pitch, and that high pitch gets lost in a crowd. A more confident person has a lower, more authoritative, I know what I'm sharing, I'm confident about what I'm going to say tone. So you may have to drop your tone a little bit and certainly avoid the temptation to end on a question. Does that make sense? Do you understand? Anything else I can help you with? Because that upspeak really diffuses what you said, and the people listening will now discredit you as someone who's confident. And if they don't see you as confident, they're less likely to listen to you. Now, don't beat yourself up on how you speak. We all have different tones. If your voice is naturally higher pitched than mine, that's how you speak. You can't alternate your voice, but you can be mindful of the tone you're using. And we can't speak confidently all the time because there may be areas that you don't feel confident, but there's a difference between not having confidence or coming across timid or unsure or meek, and we don't want to do that. Playing with the tone and speaking in a confident tone ensures to the other person that you know what you're talking about and that you are trustworthy to listen. All right, tip 3 on how to speak in front of a group and be heard is to lean in before you're speaking. Now, we could do this whether we're in person or on Zoom. I want you to use your body language here. Physically lean in. So if you're in a group and you notice you're not being noticed and you're trying to interject and you just are not being heard at all, take up space, lean in. You can take this to the next step of using your body language to put up a finger or a palm. Just make sure you choose the right finger, not pointing at anyone, up to the sky. Say, hold on a second here. And so if I'm in a group and somebody's talking and I want to contribute, but I don't want to be rude and just talk over them, I'll lean in, mouth open, as if I'm about to say, I got something to share here. I want to go next. And I wait for the pause in the conversation to begin my contribution. You could do this. So leaning in really means you are engaged. You're a part of the conversation, and your body language and your expressions show I've got something to share. And the more you do this by reading people, by watching their eye contact, and they'll look at you back, you'll be able to be more natural at this. Okay, tip 4 is when you're not speaking, to stay engaged in the conversation. No tuning out, no scrolling on your phone, no walking away, no, hey, what's going on over here? If you stay engaged as an active listener by nodding, agreeing, or disagreeing, or wow, that's interesting. That really happened. Asking questions along the way when someone else is speaking, then when it's your turn, they're more likely to listen to you because you were an engaged and active listener. People appreciate others who listen to them. And so if you show you're active and engaged in the conversation, they're more likely to listen when it's your turn to speak. If I'm over here on my phone fooling around, yeah, okay, yeah. You know what? I forgot to tell you, it's unlikely they're going to listen when I speak because I just showed I wasn't listening to them. And the 5th tip, and before we get to it, I want to remind you, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when I publish new content. And after this video, be sure to hit the link below for DaraConnollyCLUB so you can get all my expert videos that are in the club, exclusive club, that are not found anywhere else. Videos to help you speak on stage, write your book, become a professional speaker, overcome fear, live more confidently, and so much more. Take a peek at DaraConnollyCLUB. All right, so number 5 on how to speak with confidence when you're speaking in front of a group and you want to be heard is to be physically visible in the group. So what do I mean by this? Let's say you're at a party and everybody's in a cluster over here and they're talking and laughing and engaging, and you want to get involved in the conversation, but you're the outsider. You're sitting over here. Maybe your back is to them, or again, you're talking to someone else. You're kind of in between conversations. It's very hard to jump in if you're not committed. So what I need you to do is to get physically involved into the group of people you want to speak to. So get up and at least face them, or show with your body language that you are a part of this conversation. Now you may be thinking, I'm standing right here. What's the difference? I can hear them, they can hear me. Yes, that's true. But people are more likely to tune you out if they see you as the outsider. So when you come into the group, now you're part of the group. So that physical dynamic of how you stand and where you stand will make a difference when you want to be seen and heard. And let's take this a step further, because I love to give more bonus tips because I have so many tips on this content. And today we're just going with 5, but let's take this a step further. So if everybody's over here and you're sitting over there and you want to get engaged, you get up and you walk into the conversation, and then you interject when there's a pause, or you notice people are maybe the conversation's kind of twisting directions. Great time to jump in. But how do you jump in and not feel like an outsider? Is read their body language. And then you mirror what they're doing. If everybody's standing with their arms crossed, you could stand with your arms crossed and lean in. Or if they have their hand on a table, you do the same thing. Mirroring is important, and I'll post other videos below because I've spoken about this before. to show that you are a part of the group, you are a part of the team, you are on the same page. You are more likely to be listened to and heard when people feel that you are like them, that they can relate to you. So gently mirroring a little bit of their body language will show you're part of the team. And then when you interject, you're more likely to hurt. Okay, these are just a few of the many tips I can teach you. And again, I look forward to talking with you more about this. So go ahead and click the link below for DaraConnollyCLUB, and let's get you heard in your next social engagement. I can't wait to tell you more. Until then, you are amazing.